He didn't speak. Just stood there frozen, shirt half unbuttoned, fingers trembling above his belt. His eyes, usually warm, were glass now. Empty. The silence between us felt louder than the church bells that had rung just hours ago. I could still hear the echo of champagne glasses clinking, his mother's laughter, my father's shaky toast. But in this hotel room, there was only truth, and him, staring at the bloodless white sheets. "I thought," he finally said, then stopped. His jaw tightened, like he was holding back bile. "You said you were a virgin." I wanted to explain. To tell him it didn't mean I didn't love him. That I said it because he wanted to believe it. Because his mother whispered it mattered. Because it felt safer than telling the truth. But he was already backing away. The same hands that had held mine at the altar now looked like they wanted to throw something. I wrapped the robe tighter around me. "It doesn't change anything," I whispered. He laughed. A cold, dead laugh. "It changes everything." And in that moment, I knew the marriage might have lasted longer if I hadn't said anything at all. Before I tell you what happened next, make sure you're alone, and ready to question everything you thought love was. It started long before the wedding night, the lie, I mean. Back when I first met Daniel, I didn't know I'd need to become someone else to be loved by him. He was different from the boys I had dated in college, quieter, serious, the kind of man who listened more than he spoke. The first time he touched my hand, it wasn't even romantic. We were sitting in the church library, volunteering for a charity drive, and he handed me a flyer. Our fingers brushed. He blushed. I smiled. It was nothing, and everything. Daniel came from a deeply religious family, the kind where purity wasn't just a virtue, it was a requirement. His mother wore modest dresses even in summer, and his father never looked women in the eye for too long. On our third date, he told me he wanted to wait until marriage. I nodded, said I respected that. I didn't mention my past. I didn't mention Jeremy, or the year I spent trying to get over him. I didn't mention the mistakes, the nights I wish I could undo. I told myself, he didn't ask. But over time, Daniel did ask. Subtly. Sweetly. He said things like, "I want us to be each other's first." And I saw the way his eyes lit up when I smiled and said, "We will be." I should have corrected him. But I didn't. And once that door closed, I locked it shut. I didn't lie because I didn't love him. I lied because I did. Because I saw the kind of life we could build, the small house, the 2 dogs, the little girl with my curls and his dimples. I didn't want to be disqualified from his future because of a past I couldn't change. The guilt gnawed at me in small, sharp ways. I avoided certain stories. I smiled through jokes about those girls who couldn't wait. I never let us get too close physically, even when he wanted to. And every time he told me I was worth the wait, something inside me cracked a little deeper. Then came the ring. The proposal. The applause from his family. The shower of blessings. And the quiet voice inside me whispering, "Tell him now." But I couldn't. The lie had grown roots. Telling him would mean destroying everything we'd built. I thought, once we're married, it won't matter. I even convinced myself that maybe he wouldn't notice. That it wouldn't be obvious. That all those urban myths about bleeding on the first night were just that, myths. But myths don't prepare you for the way a man's eyes search you after, like he's piecing together every word you ever said. They don't prepare you for the silence that follows, or the way he gets up without looking at you, walking toward the bathroom like you've infected him. On our wedding night, I lay there staring at the ceiling, remembering how he had carried me over the threshold. How he said, "I've waited for this my whole life." And how I smiled, knowing I was the only one lying. And when he came out of the bathroom and looked at me, really looked at me, I realized I hadn't married a man. I had married a mirror. One that now reflected my worst fear. His voice was calm when he said, "Is there something you need to tell me?" I opened my mouth. Closed it. He nodded, like he already knew. That's what I thought. And then he slept on the floor. The morning light felt cruel. It touched everything, the discarded bouquet, the half-eaten cake slice, the crumpled dress hanging over the chair. And then there was Daniel, lying on the hotel room floor, his back to me, one arm slung over his eyes like he was shielding himself from the world, or from me. I didn't sleep. I kept thinking he'd say something. That the rage would boil over and he'd scream or cry or accuse me out loud. But Daniel didn't do emotions the way most people did. He weaponized silence. And in that silence, I unraveled. I sat up, pulling the robe tighter around my chest. "You're going to catch a cold down there," I whispered, instantly hating how fragile I sounded. "Nothing. I didn't do it to hurt you," I said. "I just thought. I thought it would be easier this way." His laugh was soft and bitter. "Easier for who?" I blinked, swallowing the lump forming in my throat. "For both of us." He finally sat up, rubbing his face like he was trying to scrub the night off. "So you made the choice for both of us. You decided that your lie was better than my truth." "It wasn't a lie, it was just." "Don't," he snapped. "Don't twist this into something noble." That stung. And yet, I still reached for him. Still tried to touch his arm. But he pulled back like my skin might burn his. "I didn't think it would matter," I whispered. "That's because you don't know me," he said. "You know the version of me you wanted. The one who would smile and say, 'It's okay.' But you didn't give me the chance to respond. You just fed me what you thought I wanted to hear." I didn't argue. How could I? He was right. We left the hotel in silence. The drive home from the honeymoon suite felt like a funeral procession. He kept both hands tight on the wheel, jaw clenched, eyes fixed ahead. No music. No words. Just the hum of the tires and the echo of everything that hadn't been said. His parents had arranged a brunch the next morning to celebrate the start of your beautiful journey. We didn't go. Instead, Daniel dropped me off at our apartment, no kiss, no hug, just a cold "I need space." Then he drove away. I stood there, holding my luggage, feeling more like a guest in my own life than a wife. The hallway smelled of fresh paint and broken promises. For 3 days, I didn't hear from him. Not a call. Not a text. Just silence that stretched like a punishment. My mom called to ask how the wedding night went. I lied. Said it was perfect. Said Daniel was just busy. I was still lying, still trying to protect a truth that was already shattered. On day 4, Daniel came home. He didn't knock. Just walked in with the key we'd been given as newlyweds. He looked different. Not angry, just tired. Defeated. Like something inside him had already left. "I talked to Pastor Evan," he said, standing in the doorway like he was ready to run. My stomach dropped. "Why would you?" "Because I needed to know if staying married to someone who lied about something that matters this much is still holy." I couldn't breathe. "And?" He shrugged. He said forgiveness is the foundation of love. But he also said trust is the roof. You can't live under a house that's collapsing. My eyes welled up. "So what now? Are you leaving me?" Daniel looked at me, really looked at me, and in that gaze was every dream we'd built together, dying. "I don't know yet," he said. "But I can't sleep next to someone who betrayed my trust and called it love." He didn't raise his voice. He didn't cry. He just walked into the guest room and closed the door. It's funny how a single hallway can feel like a battlefield. Our apartment was barely 900 square feet, but the distance between the bedroom and the guest room felt like miles. Every morning, I'd hear the creak of the door opening, his careful footsteps as he moved through the kitchen without looking at me. He made coffee. Ate in silence. Left without a word. The only trace of him was the mug in the sink, steam still rising like a ghost. I tried. God, I tried. I cooked his favorite meals. I left notes on the mirror. I even started reading devotionals because I thought maybe, just maybe, I could remind him that love was still here, still real. But he didn't bite. He didn't rage. He didn't break things. He just stopped showing up in the ways that mattered. One night, I knocked on the guest room door. My hand trembled against the wood. "Can we talk?" He opened it just a crack. "Talk about what?" "Us. Everything. Please." He stepped aside, letting me in, but didn't sit. Just leaned against the wall, arms crossed. "I miss you," I said. He nodded slowly. "I miss who I thought you were." That cut deeper than any insult. "People have pasts, Daniel," I said, my voice cracking. "We all do. I didn't lie to hurt you. I lied because I was afraid. Because I didn't think you'd love me if you knew." "Then you don't know me at all," he said flatly. "I know you better than anyone." "No. You know who you wanted me to be. Not who I really am." There was a pause. A heavy one. He sat down finally, rubbing his face. "Do you even understand what you took from me?" "What do you mean?" "My choice," he snapped. "My right to decide. You decided for me. You handed me a version of the truth that you polished to be palatable, and you called it love. But love doesn't lie, even when the truth is ugly." I was crying now, the kind of crying that leaves you breathless. "I wanted you to be proud of me," I whispered. "Not ashamed." "I was never ashamed of you," he said, and for a moment I saw the man I married. "Until you made me a fool." The air between us thickened with hurt. With every word we said, and didn't say. After that night, the apartment grew colder. We shared the same space, but not the same life. I heard him on the phone with his brother, saying things like, "I'm still thinking," and "I don't know if I can come back from this." Every day, I'd wake up and stare at the empty space beside me. At the vows framed on the wall, now just decoration. And I wondered if love was supposed to survive this, if it even could. Then one morning, I found a manila envelope on the counter. My name written in Daniel's handwriting. Inside was a letter. His voice, in ink. "I don't hate you. I just don't trust you. And maybe one day, we can rebuild. But right now, every time I look at you, I don't see my wife. I see the lie. I'm sorry. I'm going to stay with my parents for a while." He signed it, Daniel. Not your husband. Just Daniel. And just like that, the apartment wasn't a battlefield anymore. It was a grave. It's been 5 weeks since he left. The first few days, I kept expecting him to come back, keys jangling in the lock, his voice calling my name like nothing happened. I even kept his side of the bed untouched, as if preserving it would somehow summon him. But now the sheets are cold, and the silence has become part of the furniture. I don't cry every day anymore. That's not healing, that's just exhaustion. People still ask about the wedding. How's married life, they say with bright eyes and hopeful smiles. I tell them it's beautiful. I lie. Again. Because it's easier than explaining that I blew up my own marriage before the honeymoon even started. Daniel hasn't filed for divorce yet. But the distance between us has become its own kind of paperwork, unspoken, undeniable. I sent him letters. 3. Poured my guilt onto the page. Told him everything, about Jeremy, about the fear, about how I never once stopped loving him through the lie. He hasn't responded to any of them. But I know he reads them. Because in the last one, I wrote, if you want me to stop, just don't respond. And he hasn't. There's a part of me that still hopes. That imagines a dramatic return, him showing up at my door in the rain, saying he forgives me, that he understands, that we can start over. But every day that passes without a knock chips away at that fantasy. I've started therapy. I've stopped trying to delete my past and started learning how to live with it. I'm beginning to understand something I wish I'd known months ago. Love is not a prize you win by pretending to be someone you're not. It's a brutal, beautiful choice to show up as yourself, flaws, scars, and all, and trust someone to stay anyway. Daniel didn't stay. And maybe he never will. Maybe he needed something I couldn't be. Maybe I needed someone who didn't worship purity more than honesty. I don't know. I may never know. But I do know this, I loved him. I still do. And if I could go back, I wouldn't change my past, I'd change the way I handled it. I would have looked him in the eyes and told him the truth before we ever said I do. Because some lies don't stay buried. Some lies live in the sheets. Some lies sleep between two people and grow until there's no space left for anything real. And some lies, you don't come back from.